So when I first created this web UI, a lot of people started started warning me about breaching Anthropic's terms of service. They're telling me that if I were to do something like this, it will breach terms of service and therefore it might get me banned. And yet for the past few months now, it's been 3 months, nothing actually happened to my account. And nothing has actually happened to my client's account. And even though when I first started, I did felt a little bit of anxiety, a bit of concern, but I did my homework, I did my study, all of that. And the reason why nothing has happened is because I built this entire thing on top of Claude code. In the same way you would have paperclip, you would install paperclip on top of Claude code. There's no problem building a web UI on top of the terminal interface. So it has been going well. And I want to tell you this because it lends uh, a sort of relevance and context to what I'm about to say. See, I don't have any problem using this. Like by now, probably many of you guys have already seen a lot of videos out there sharing about how they build their own version of OpenClaw on using Claude code that can do whatever OpenClaw can do. And there's a lot of news coming out from Anthropic who are making who basically quote unquote killed OpenClaw by releasing by shipping all kinds of new features like dispatch and loop and so on and so forth. But even though there's a lot of things that is coming out from Anthropic and for both Claude AI, Cowork, and Claude Code, and on top of that, my own personal web UI, like this entire setup that I have, is perfectly safe for 3 months now, and I don't see any reason why it wouldn't continue. It's a fun fact. Remember that time, I think last week or so, when everybody was up in arms, like all the OpenClaw people were so upset that Anthropic decided to ban third-party apps. And in fact, one of my friends who was using Hermes agent started seeing that the Anthropic OAuth wasn't able to be used with his own third-party apps anymore. Even through all of that, my own personal harness that is built on top of Cloud Code is safe. It's so things are quote unquote going well. I had no reason to do what I'm about to do. And in spite of all of that, the more I think about it, the more I feel it deep in my gut that following Anthropic is not the right way to go. It's not the right thing to do. So in other words, I'm saying that my time with Anthropic is done. I am so done with Anthropic. It feels a little bit surreal just to say that because I don't want to be done with Anthropic, but a lot of the things that they're doing make sense, but at the same time don't make sense at the same time. Like it makes sense on the business side of things, but it don't make sense for a consumer from a consumer's perspective, from a customer's perspective. They create policies that don't make sense, like among with everybody else allowing OAuth to be their OAuth to be used with the subscription to be used with third-party apps. Yeah, the sole organization that doesn't do that. So they're making arbitrary changes on terms of service that they can just announce, and within 24 hours, whatever it is that you built on is now suddenly disrupted, and you got to scramble. I didn't have to scramble. I got lucky, but a lot of people sure did. A lot of people whose entire business model is built on relying on Anthropic's Anthropic subscription is now sort of disrupted, and they have to scramble and figure out a completely different way. You probably heard about this, where everybody was like a lot of the big creators was teaching how to overcome this and so on and so forth. And so what I'm sorry to say is that the way they behave makes their consumers feel anxious all the time. And on top of that, like I've been seeing somehow changes to the model that I've been talking about for a really long time. And I never really had a proof about it. And many people don't believe me. But I will tell you from my perspective that since end of 2024, something has been going on with Anthropic. I started using Anthropic's model since I think beginning of 2024. And I've been having a really good time with them until the end of 2024, where it is, no, not the end of 2024. I think it was around the start of 2025, mid-January 2025, where they introduced Sonnet 3.5. And when they introduced Sonnet 3.5, the quality, so not 3.5, 3.7, the switch from Sonnet 3.5 to 3.7, I don't understand why many people say that it felt smarter, but to me, it just felt like so much worse. It stopped taking instructions. It stopped copying my writing style exactly. Previously I was able to just feed it a bunch of examples and it would be able to replicate the example perfectly well. Now I feed it a bunch of example. It would still keep on coming up with its own interpretation of my writing style. So things like it is not just A, it is B, like that kind of patterns, anaphoras, hypophoras. It will come up with all these telltale AI signs that it's written by an AI. And I had to do all kinds of like patchwork stuff. I had to do all kinds of added more guardrails. In the end, it became so bloated, right? My skills file became so bloated now because of this. And don't tell me that I understand. I know there's a lot of people who are very happy with Anthropic's writing style, the clause writing style. I am not. I'm trying to tell you that when I was happy with 3.5, I was very happy with 3.5. And then the moment 3.7 came out, everything just went downhill. And from then onwards, right, like only when Opus 4.6 came out, that I finally see like a glimmer of hope with Anthropic's models. It's like, wow, I was devastated, but at the same time, I was very impressed because towards the end of 2024, I created this prompt. I called it AI Coach prompt. Some of you may have seen it before. And it has created amazing conversations for me. And not gonna lie, I have testimonials about how the AI Coach prompt, when used with Anthropic models, actually changes people's lives. And ever since 3.7 came out, it has been breaking. I feel like every single month I have to keep iterating and adding more guardrails and adding more and changing the instructions in order to recreate a 90% approximation of what AI Coach experience was supposed to be. To the end, to the point where I actually had to come up with my own ad because I felt that like it is seriously not reliable. It is seriously not consistent to rely on Anthropic to I don't know. I want to say do what's right, but at the same time, I know that a lot of people are happy with them. Personally, I'm not. So in the end, I can't control them. So I decided I want to build my own app. After I built my own app, 4.6 came out. And Opus 4.6 by default speaks like the AI Coach. Well, not 100%, like 90%. It is not pushy enough. It still flip-flops easily. But by default, it was already talking like that and I was like devastated. But at the same time, I see a glimmer of hope in Anthropic again. And especially since, they keep coming up with all these amazing new shipments of new features almost every day. Every 1 or 2 days, they're coming up with a new feature. But now it's like from that moment onwards, they started to do all these kinds of crazy things like banning open call without even telling people. And then they finally admitted telling people. And I'm not sure if you guys have heard. One of the, I believe it was the director of one of the AMD's department, actually brought receipts that that Claude has been getting worse over the past 2 years. So it's kind of like I am constantly at the back of my mind wondering like, what else is Anthropic gonna do Are they gonna silently lower rate limits? Are they gonna silently make their models dumber in order to save token costs because Anthropic is so popular now? You know, and above all, right? There's all these things that is happening, and I was going through this earlier, and initially I wasn't feeling up to making this video until I encountered this situation. I thought to myself, this is the perfect example to show you guys how bad Anthropic's model has been. So I had this thing over here. I had my own web UI. And because like I have a lot of backlogs, I needed to ship fast. And due to a few dependencies going on, I wanted to install RuleFlow. So RuleFlow is, if you haven't heard of it, the way it works is that it's basically it dispatches and coordinates and orchestrates agentic swarms to help you get tasks done. And I have my own orchestration layer as well. Every single one of my contact cards on the left-hand side here is in itself orchestrator agents. But RuleFlow can do it in a much larger scale. And I'm fascinated by how they are able to ensure quality when doing so. And I needed to see for myself, like, how they actually work. Is the quality really as good as was promised? Or are they just letting the agents run and pray that everything is gonna turn out well? So I thought to myself, okay, good. I have this on one port. I have this web UI in one port of my VPS. I'm sorry I can't show you guys the URL because it contains my IP. I want to put it into another port, right? So it's a simple task, right? And after trying for a couple of times, it feels like, okay, it's not working. So I thought to myself, you know what? Never mind. I'm just gonna get another instance of Cloud Code installed into another root folder. So right now, my root folder is in NLC over here. Okay, that's the current main instance of my Cloud Code. And I wanted to put it into a different one, which is NLC RuleFlow. Okay, so I do it over here. So the way Cloud Code works is that when you whatever folder that you choose to open the Cloud Code in, it is supposed to basically have quote unquote ownership of that directory, of that folder. So it does things, it stays within its league. And so I open it over there, and I decided I'm gonna get this working by basically opening up the CLI and telling Claude's Opus 4.6, the smartest model in the world, apparently, with 1 million contacts, to basically help me debug one small thing. And that one small thing is login issue. So when I go on login over here, right now it is still not working. Actually, should I say it's working already? But I had to work through 2 hours with this guy in order to get this to work. It is a very simple, like, authentication thing. All right. So this entire conversation has lasted 2 hours. Actually, much more than 2 hours. By the time of recording, it's way longer than 2 hours already. And the reason why is because this guy, Opus, okay? Opus, the smartest model, is lazy as fuck. It doesn't bother to, like, it would check certain things, and the moment it finds the one thing, right, not the thing, but the first thing that is wrong, it would just pinpoint everything into that one thing. And then the moment you push slightly, it has no backbone. It'd be like, you're right. Every time you say something, even if you're wrong, it would say you're right. It would declare some certain things as done. It doesn't go and read and thoroughly understand the architecture before it even tries to give you a proper diagnosis and a proper fix. So the way it works is that you point out a symptom, right? If you point out a symptom, if you go to see a doctor, you point out a symptom, The doctor would then would then check and ask further questions, clarifying questions, and then give a diagnosis. After it gives a diagnosis, then it will give you the prescription. So over here, what I've experienced this so many times with Opus models, Sonnet models. It does not. It skips all of that. Right? You hear the symptom, it would go and take like 1 minute to go and search what's wrong, find something that the first thing that is wrong, and immediately just declare that is the problem, and then immediately give you a prescription with full confidence. And that may be okay if, let's say, you guys have development skills and you guys can read code and stuff like that. I don't. I'm just a normal guy, you know. So when something like this happens, right? It's like I have to really think: is what this guy is saying makes sense? Does it really make sense? And most of the time, it does not make sense. And from the start of this conversation, I push. Okay, it looks like I can't scroll up anymore beyond this. That's why one of the reasons why I don't like terminal is probably because of this. So anyway, like, look, we rolled back and forth, and in the span of 5 exchanges, this guy changed his prescription 3 times. Why? Because he didn't bother to even find out. He didn't bother to really look and understand the architecture. And I, as a non-coder, non-developer, zero technical background, right, have to be the one bearing the responsibility of remembering the entire architecture. By the way, prior to January the 1st, I haven't even heard of, I don't even know what the hell is a CLI. All right. And so I'm reaching to this point where I'm like, okay, I need to go and learn this now. So painstakingly, because I wanted to provide this as a service, I go and learn all of these things. And I know what some of you guys might be thinking, oh, you got to prompt it better, bullshit. Like, look, whatever that can be done in terms of in terms of guardrails and stuff, I've implemented it. So, there are in my origin, the easiest way to prove this to you is that over here, GLM 5.1. I'm using GLM 5.1 from ZAI. And I started experimenting with this guy around 3 days ago. And I want to tell you guys something. The experience of working with ZAI is night and day. It is so much better than Anthropic's Opus 4.6, even with the 1 million context window. So much better. Not because this guy is smarter. Sometimes I see that this guy, like, he struggle with things. He had to work harder. He had to work longer. But if I had to put one thing that is the primary difference between GLM and Opus, is attitude. Opus is like that lazy guy who's smart but lazy. Like, if you push him a bit harder, then he will work harder. But there's a problem. You have to push him. When you're working with Opus or Sonnet or whoever, any model from Anthropic, they are. I know a lot of people say that they are not sycophantic. My God, I think they are sycophantic as hell. They're just very agreeable. They don't want to argue. They don't want to push back, even when you're saying something extremely stupid, right? It doesn't try to correct you, and it will happily go along with you if you like. When there are so many times when I'm asking a question to Anthropic models, I'm just asking a question. A question is a question, and my response from Anthropic model would be like, "You're right," and then it would try to piece together whatever I'm saying into something that seems somehow semi-make sense. And I'm wondering, is this guy trying to please me, or am I really making sense? And I had to think really hard. And you guys, that itself is a form of strain. And it's not that I mind strain. It's not that I mind hard work. Ever since I started on this whole agentic engineering journey, I've been sleeping 3 to 4 hours a day because I've been working so damn hard. But it is slow. It is not as fast as it could be because the AI keeps making mistakes that could have been easily avoided if the AI just think a little bit harder. And I want to be moving on, but I have to keep babysitting and I have to keep reminding and pushing and challenging and pushing and challenging. I have struggled so much with this that I actually created hooks in Claude Code that detects certain keywords from the AI. If the AI asks me things like, if the AI declares confidence as an example, the hook will catch that AI being confident about things and basically reminds it to go and verify with evidence rather than just assuming things. But I like the moment I remove the guardrails, this is the kind of shit that happens. Actually, I haven't shown you. Look, so over here, so here's a classic example. I was struggling to come into here, right? It goes to fix certain things. It tries to fix it for me. And it actually fixed here instead of here. All right. So over here, I have all these AI models set up. Anthropic, Olama, OpenCooler, Minimax, Exact AI. So the way this works in terms of architecture is that the moment I go and switch to Anthropic, let's say, the moment I switch to Anthropic and I click on save, I'm not going to click on save now, but the moment I click on save, it is supposed to remove my credentials. It's got to wipe my credentials so that I can, if I was on Anthropic and I want to go to ZAI, it is supposed to clear my credentials from Anthropic in the files so that I can log in. I can re-log in via Claude Code through ZAI. That is how it's supposed to be. That was by design. So when I first started talking to this guy, he checked for like 1 minute and he said, okay, I found a problem. What is the problem? The problem is that your credentials aren't inside. And here's the thing. Over here, I'm using GLM5. It's not supposed to be inside. And then, but because I'm not logged into over here with my Anthropic account, when it tells me that, okay, the credentials not logged in, and I thought to myself, how is it possible that I'm able to talk to you because I've already done the whole CD root / NLC root flow. I've already done this, okay, before I started Claude, all right? So I'm talking to this guy, all right, in this port through the login already, but he's telling me that the credentials are not in. So logically thinking, it already don't make sense. So I tell him to go and check, and it came up with a very elaborate and complicated way to validate and double down on his own theory. So we said, okay, we gotta try it. The moment we try it, guess what? This port stopped working entirely. Like, because why? Because now in this port, I am logged into both ZAI and Anthropic. And only one thing can be true at the same time. It cannot be two. So we have after about 1.5 hours of debugging. And I thought, the moment I stop and really think, right, and think like, what the hell? Why is he struggling so much? I really realized, okay, I asked this one question. What was the port that you use that you were fixing it on? And then it told me. And guess what? It wasn't even looking in the right place. I created this folder and it's supposed to be responsible for this folder, this directory. It went and fixed in a completely different directory. And then declared that it was done. So after we undo the damage, then we really got to work. Okay. And then after that, once I said, okay, let's come back to talk over here. And it literally tell me, let me see. I wonder if I can't see this. I don't like CLI. This is so bad. Yeah, okay. Looks like I can't. All right. It says over here, I told I don't want to keep playing whack-a-mole. And it says, you're right. I've been chasing bugs for in the UI flow for almost 2 hours and getting nowhere. Let me step back and think about this differently. The goal is simple. Get valid Anthropic credentials into root / NLC root flow .claude.credentials.json. The web UI's connect is the buggiest possible way to do this. The direct path, you have valid Anthropic credentials in here. I can just copy the section into credentials, restart, and you're connected. It takes 30 seconds. Or you can run the CLI off by typing this one. And guess what? The moment I say this, I'm like smacking my head again. What did you think I did to get to here talking to you? I'm already in the CLI. You see? It's so dumb. It's like, is this really the smartest model on earth? Like the moment I loosen some of my guardrails, or I loosen some of my hooks, right? This is the kind of stupidity that I'm seeing. So in the end, after that, I said, okay, never mind, just do it. Like I got no other leads. I don't know how to read code. And I'm not gonna stop my entire business to go and learn coding for the next 6 months before I start working on this. So finally, it says, okay, cool. We're gonna try it. So we tried. I actually managed to actually log in, but my CPU was spiking. I was wondering, why the hell is my CPU spiking? Why is it at 100% all the time? And I go and ask. Find out what's happening. And then the first thing it did was congratulate itself. Anthropic is close, is connected. That's progress. Let me check why messages aren't going through. Right, go and check. Okay, I found it. Okay, another thing. One of the scariest things I've ever heard from AI is found it. Root cause found. Those are the scariest things because it's like a foreshadowing of another episode of wasting time. So it says finally here, found it. This one is not related to our changes. 4 runaway processes are eating all the CPU, 400% total. They're stuck in infinite loops and have been running since this morning because CPU is maxed out, blah, blah, blah. All right. The fix. It just gave me this thing here. Didn't tell, like it says 4 runaway processes I see eating all the CPU. It didn't tell me what those runaway processes are. All right. And just tell me what is the fix. Okay. Kill those 4 processes. And I said, no, you didn't tell me what those processes are. And then what it says, you're right. Let me find out what they are first. Here's what they are. System Map Scanner is a background tool that blah, blah, blah. Now, here's another thing that makes no sense. The System Map Scanner doesn't take a lot of resources. And it is this Opus guy is assigning all the blame on System Scanner, and it's saying that every time we do a restart of the server, it spawns these scanners all over again. And here's what doesn't make sense. I've restarted probably close to 10 times already today, not 4 times. And it doesn't know that for some reason because it didn't check. It didn't check thoroughly enough, and it can confidently tell me that this is the root cause. And then if I didn't ask for the runaway process, it wouldn't even found out. Right? And the game pushing me, like, want me to kill them. And then finally, I go and think about it further. Okay, my backfill was happening. All right? My backfill was happening. So this was basically the memory, Mem Palace thing. Don't ask me why I want to install Mem Palace. I have my reasons. There's a story for another time. But basically, I want to test out Mem Palace for my rack, for my memory purposes. And I don't want to start from current time. I wanted it to sort of backfill all the way to the first conversation. There are 45,000 files, 46,000 files in my device, and that's like the backfilling takes up a lot of CPU. That was the reason why. And it wasn't able to catch it. It just blamed it all on the first thing that it found. And I thought that was like, yeah, this is the perfect example to show you guys. So first, I came from a background where I was using just Claude AI, trying to use projects, stuff like that. To the point where I actually had to go and engineer my own architecture. And then I have to go and build my own app because the stock this just wasn't good enough, and things keep changing here and there. Their decisions, their changes, their business, I respect that, but it's just making it so hard. And these days, I'm seeing something even more scary, which is I'm seeing all of these, Cloud Max subscriptions, $200, that kind of stuff. Do you know why they do that? Like the reason why they do, like if you think that the $200 subscription is something that is expensive, it's not. It's very cheap. And the reason why is because if you're a heavy user like me, a $200 subscription can stretch a very long way. A couple of weeks ago, there was this double rate limit thing Anthropic did, where for 2 weeks you can use up to double their usage, right? Everybody was having a good time. It was great marketing. I run a token counter, and my cost exceeded 10,000 USD in that month. How? Because I was running on 2 Claude Max accounts. Each had $200 a month. So I was running that. So imagine like this is they're doing this as a loss. And the reason why is because they want to get more people into the ecosystem. And it kind of, the patterns that I'm seeing kind of scares me a bit because they're releasing features that kills softwares. They're releasing features that makes other things irrelevant. And if I was the Felix 2 years ago, I would have been very happy. But now when I look at it, I'm starting to feel a sense of like foreboding. Because what they're really trying to do is that they're trying to lock everybody in. They want to do the Google Play. They want to do the Microsoft Play, right? They want to do the software login play where you keep on working with it and you keep on attaching more and more of your life and your memory and your things here and there. The more stuff you attach to it, the more they got you. They hook you in. And at some point, they're going to let go of this ridiculous subsidy that is the Claude Max subscription, right? Whatever rate limits that you think is low right now, it's going to be even lower. Why? Why is it that it is so low? You look at the example I gave you just now. Like their AI is not trained to solve your problem. The AI is trained to talk and talk and talk, right? To draw out the length of the conversation. I don't know why. I don't know if that whole benchmark they did with all of their models can even be trusted as of now. Like seriously. Like all it has been like, if I didn't put all of these harnesses in, if I didn't put all these guardrails and hooks and whatever and gates in, we would be going around in circles. Perfect example. So their models are lazy. Their models always like, when it comes to coding, when it comes to normal business work, it no longer even fully copies my voice anymore, right? And now in coding side of things, they are making things like they make their model in such a way that the model just latches on to the first thing that it finds and declares in full confidence that that is what is wrong. It really makes me wonder whether all of those quote unquote security issues that Claude Mythos found, was it really even true? Or did you just make stuff up? Who verified that those security vulnerabilities were actually there? We don't know. They were left out from the model card. And on top of that, this whole overall strategy of trying to lock everybody into the system. Meanwhile, when I tried ZAI, right, I find the experience of working with ZAI to be so much more pleasant. It doesn't double down on its stuff. At the same time, it does its homework before it talks to you. When it came back with the theory, it came back with evidence that supports the theory. It actually goes and studies the architecture. It go and take like Claude Code Claude Opus would take 1 minute to quote unquote diagnose an issue. GLM 5.1 may take 5 minutes to diagnose an issue, but we don't spend the next 3 hours debugging the same issue. It's like one and done. 15 minutes, we move on, right? With Claude Opus, it's never ending. Just never ending frustration. So their models are expensive, compared to ZAI GLM, right? GLM is like 10 times cheaper than Opus. And honestly, in terms of coding and capabilities and stuff like that, I don't see a lot of difference. I really don't. The only difference, the difference that I see is in terms of attitude, which saves me a lot of time. So, Opus and Sonnet, expensive, Anthropic, low rate limits, the models are lazy. So I am kind of done with Anthropic. Like I could continue to build on my web UI, but I decided that I'm just gonna migrate. I think I'm gonna migrate to OpenClaw. It's gonna be the same web UI now, but I'm gonna migrate all of my harnesses, all of my guardrails, all of the add-ons that I put on top of things, all the hooks that makes the model smarter, that makes the model more reliable. I'm gonna put it all into OpenClaw, because OpenClaw has they're open source, number one. Number two, they're shipping aggressively as well, on par with Anthropic, but they are model agnostic. They're not trying to lock everyone in. From my perspective, it's almost as if they want to become the Linux of agents, which is perfectly fine. I'm gonna build on top of it. I'm gonna create a nice. I'm gonna migrate the web UI that I have right now, that my clients have come to know and love. I'm gonna make it much more user friendly. I'm gonna make it model agnostic. And from my preliminary investigations, I think that the harnesses might work even better with OpenClaw. Because the fact is, I've been fighting against Claude Code every step of the way. Because Claude Code is such a binary system. It's such a black box. You can't change anything inside Claude Code. So we have to constantly work around it. We can't hack it. We can't, So I'm going to change it. I'm going to migrate everything to OpenClaw. I'm going to make it so that I suspect once I have the OpenClaw thing combined with my NLC web UI and all the other functionalities, it's going to become even more powerful. And so I've already started the migration. This is the reason why I needed Grooveflow, because we have a large operation in order to do the change. We can't just swap things over. They all speak different languages, so we kind of need to wire things up one by one, and make sure that things don't break. So I was hoping that Grooveflow can help me with that. That's why I am experimenting with this. So I'm gonna continue that. I'm gonna update you guys on my journey. And I advise you guys who are builders to do the same as well. I think that a lot of people, I see a lot of my friends, they are becoming more and more pro Claude. And I think that most people haven't really seen what Claude can't do. They are enchanted by what Claude can do, that they are kind of getting lured into being locked into the Anthropic ecosystem. And when that happens, it's like, imagine 5 years from now, if you're stuck with a shitty model, with a very expensive, shitty model that Anthropic don't care about improving anymore, because all they care about is marketing, then what happens? So my choice that I am making for myself and for my community, for those who want to follow what I do, is I'm gonna keep everything go to the open route. So that is my my direction. So that's all for now. I know this has been a long video, but I've always been making long videos, always one train of thought. That's it. If you guys what do you guys feel about things? How do you guys feel about Anthropic right now? Maybe you can tell me a perspective that I haven't seen. Let me know down in the comments.